Welcome, one and everyone, to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoked Rings, episode 375. I am your neighborhood friendly Oxhorn, as always, with my suspenders set to maximum stun. I've got a great show for you today. Thank you so much for coming. A lot has happened in the week since we last saw each other, including the big news of the day. Fallout 4 will have mods on the PS4. That's right, I don't know if you guys saw my video published earlier today, but Bethesda announced that yes, Sony fans will indeed gain access to mods for the Fallout 4 and for Skyrim. Now, there are a few caveats to that. The first one is that Skyrim is getting mods first. And there's no ETA on when Fallout 4 will get mods. And the other caveat to that is that Fallout 4 PS4 mods won't allow any third-party art. So no custom textures, no custom meshes, basically anything custom from modders, like unique guns, unique outfits, unique bodies, won't be allowed on the PS4. They only allow modders to basically mix and match existing assets in the game. So a bit of a limitation, but it's still great news, and I'm so glad that my followers are going to be getting PS4 mods. The Bancy Fadger says, my smoke ship must have convinced Sony. They'll think twice before they make another Seth Rogen film. Is that what it was? We've got everybody in the chat today. Good to see you all. Bancy Fadger, That Generic Pyro, Ghoul Breath, Big Stacks 2, Pepper Pippington, 0 for 17, Hawkster, The Great Azal, Robin2258, Terror Wrath. I can't name everybody, so apologies if I didn't name your name, but all of the regulars are here, and everyone new. It's really good to see you all. Morgan Freeman says, hey, there's that classy fellow. How are you doing, Oxhorn? By the way, I bought your book. And to anyone reading, I highly recommend it. Thank you so much. You are too kind. I do link to my book in every video I publish, in the off chance that someone might be interested. And I'm so glad that you bought and read it. And more than anything, that you liked it. So thank you very much. Timothy McDonald says, hey, what are your favorite power armor mods? I really like the backpacks and pouches for power armor. I like the visible weapons for power armor. And I am publishing a new video tomorrow on one of my new favorite power armor jetpack mods that I'm super excited about. So stay tuned for tomorrow morning. That video is uploaded and ready to go. Pizza is here too, Oxhorn says Big Stacks 2. You forgot to name the pizza. Well, I'm sorry. For anyone eating pizza, pleasure to have your pizza on the program. And no, that was not a euphemism? Come on. Cigar says, I'm eating pizza. I'm jealous. Actually, I can't say that. The wife made me a beautiful dinner of beefy, cheesy burritos with sour cream and shredded cheese. It was delicious. I can't complain. We are smoking today a Henry Clay stock cut cigar, one of my favorite cigars. And I fixed my auto zoom feature for my YouTube stream. So for those watching on YouTube, things should look a lot better today because the camera will no longer be going in and out of focus as I get far and close from the stream. So now gamma correction is still on, so the brightness might fluctuate a bit, but oh man, we're good. We're good to go. Also, I'm actually doing things right today. Look at this. That's right. I has real fire. Man. Oh, it's so much easier. I have been... Ooh. I have been using this horrible disposable lighter to light my cigars on the program for weeks now because I've just been too lazy. There's no other word for it. It's just lazy. I have been too lazy to refill my actual cigar lighter. It's got butane. It doesn't impart a nasty taste to your cigar. It's meant for cigars. But I have just been too lazy to refill it. I finally refilled it and it has made my life so much easier. This is big for me. I have discovered lighters and my life is now easier. That's the way things work in the Oxhorn household. Pepper Peppington says, my mouth is salivating over that cigar. Too bad I have to quit smoking cigars for a year. But you know what? You're quitting smoking cigars for a year all in good cause. So, more power to you. If my program becomes a distraction from your success, please stop watching. Because I don't want you to harm yourself just because my cigars are looking too delicious. So, my apologies in advance. Robin2258 says, I'm eating pizza too. This is a pizza night. Thursday night is pizza night here at Scotch and Smoke Rings. Arkshay G says, where be the Scotch mon? Right here, but it's out of itself. Oh, I've got a drib. I've got a drab. I've got a dribble drab. Worth it. Three drops of scotch. Makes me not a liar. So instead of Scotch and Smoke Rings, today I'm drinking Belgian beer. So this should be called Belgian Beer and Smoke Rings. We Are Enclave says, whiskey's better. Scotch is whiskey. Scotch whiskey. What is the name of your book, Oxhorn? Says Max Rebo. It's called The Tale of Cloron Hastings. It's at cloronhastings.com. Google it and you will find it. I think I have it sitting around here somewhere. Yeah. I should really get better at promoting my own things, shouldn't I? Numpty says, I just ordered pizza for this event. How great, I'm rubbing off on people in all the wrong ways. Again, also not a euphemism. Akshay G says, that's looking like a sad bottle. Yes, it was indeed a sad bottle. That's okay. My garden, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Belgian, so don't get on me for pronunciation. My whole garden is cold, ice cold, and almost full, so I'm pretty happy about that. Andy Skywalker says, Oxford, if you can, could you make a video on how to install F4SE, the Fallout 4 script extender, and the Place Everywhere mod? I don't know if it really deserves a video. It's not too tricky. Both those tools come with clear instructions. You basically just dump it into your Fallout 4 folder, and then you put the F4SE folder in your game folder. I suppose I should do a video on it. Yeah, no, it's a great suggestion. Note to self, video on how to install the Place Anywhere mod. Paffin Paft says, please say quantum. You're welcome. Caden Tyler Jones says, I'm eating awesome dinner as we speak. Yes, but you have to share with us what your dinner is. We can't judge whether or not it's awesome if you just say, oh, I'm eating an awesome dinner. You have to say, oh, I'm eating an awesome dinner of ribeye steak covered in a blue cheese and peppercorn sauce. And then we're like, yes, well, how can we argue with that? That is an awesome dinner. The Bancy Badger says, cool whip. Quill Wheaton. Wicked weather. I say my W's the way I say my W's. I will not repent. Nate Dog 2010 says, I'm new to this channel. What is the point of these videos? If you ever figure that out, let me know. I've been curious myself. Maybe someone in the chat could enlighten us all. I'm slightly confused. Sometimes I'll read a comment and I don't know how to respond. And I sit there and I process, how do I respond to that? And then I can't think of anything because it's so ridiculous. So then I just say nothing and I move on. That's why sometimes you see these long silences, because I'm sitting there and the cogs are spinning and I'm like, should I respond to that? Did he really say that? What could I say to that? And then I move on. Big Stacks 2 says, we're nearly 400 episodes into Scotch and Smoke Rings, and the meaning is still out there. Yeah, the meaning is unobtainable. It's hard to grasp. I still don't know the meaning behind this show. This is what the show is for me. It means cigars on fire. It means Scotch in water. It means both of these things consumed by this face. Live before a camera. That's what it is. That's the show right there. It's not revolutionary, no. But it's mine. Savannah Cook says, I really enjoy your lore videos. They are very awesome. They are leaving me wanting to know more. Well, thank you very much. One of my favorite videos to make is a lore video. I published a lore video on Monday. It's called The Long Walk from Quincy. It's the story of June and Marcy Long, and it explores why they are the way they are. When you meet Marcy Long, she's this angry, bitter, really annoying person. She's so annoying that the outcry from the fans wanting to kill her was so great that Bethesda took time out of their days to put in a patch that allows you to kill Marcy and June Long. That's how annoying she is. And June is just so sad all the time, moping about and drowsy and droopy, and I wanted to find out why. So I made a video on it, and I found out why, and it's a sad story, so I encourage you all to check it out. Morgan Freeman says, I thought the meaning was about chilling and smoking cigars while enjoying some fine Scotch and hanging out with a classy fellow who makes the best Fallout videos. You are too kind. You flatter me, good sir. If that's the point, then hey, there could be worse points, right? Carter West says, I put Marcy in a cage. Well, gives her one more thing to complain about, and that probably makes her happy. Will you be doing the lore of the Quincy Massacre, says Nathan Grant. I would love to. I'm trying to wrap my head around how I could do it, because there are no real quests related to the Quincy Massacre. I mean, you go to Quincy, and yes, you do have to do the whole Edgar Winter thing. Is that Edward Winter, whatever? Nick Valentine's quest, which bring you to Quincy. But really, the story plays out in the terminals, and here's the story. Quincy was filled with settlers. Gunners wanted Quincy. Gunners killed settlers. Gunners have Quincy. And how I can really kind of wrap that into a whole lore video is going to be kind of tricky for me. Especially when none of the actors are alive. Clint is dead. All of the people who inhabited that town are dead, with the exception of the Longs, who I already did a video on, and then Sturgis, Preston, and Mama Murphy. Now, what I could do is, there are those raider gangs. Which was the raider gang who said that they saw Preston and the group walking north? There was one terminal where you go in and you find this guy and he's kidnapping people and feeding them chems because he wants to get the sight like Mama Murphy has. He remembers when he was a child, Mama Murphy looked into his soul and said, oh, you're going to grow up to be a monster someday. He does grow up to be a monster, and then he says, I want the sight like Mama Murphy. So he starts experimenting with chems. And then the last entry is that he sees Preston and the group walking north from Quincy. And then that's the end. I think you go and kill him or something. Maybe that's an angle on how I could get in there. I don't know. The Corvaga Raiders? Was that them? Darogon? Sean _ says, your settlement building has inspired me to create a junk town in 10 Pines Bluff. You should check it out. Well, congratulations to you, and thank you so much. I'm glad that my particular settlement building styles are inspiring. That's the Corvega guy. Okay, so back at the Corvaga assembly plant, the guy there, check out his terminal and you find a little bit more on why people left Quincy. Big Daddy Juicy Period says, my dude Ox, been meaning to make one of these things for months now. How ironic that I finally make one 2 days before my birthday. Well, congratulations to you and happy birthday in advance. I'm just glad that you made it to the program. The Great Azal says, I threw Marcy into some stocks, and then I got 2 raider-looking guys to beat on her. You should see the comments to that lore video I published. There's a lot of sympathy for the Longs after I produced my video, but still a lot of people saying, yeah, I just torture them. It's like, hey, it's your game. Do what you want. Black Shorman says, we should all discuss totally random stuff while he pays attention to the other chat, so he gets confused when he comes back over here. This is why I'm kind of alternating between the 2 different chats pretty frequently. It's like I'm playing basketball. I'm dribbling. And I got you just before you changed topics so that you didn't confuse me. And Numpty says, hey, Oxhorn, I need a few mods that give me really visually appealing hats or masks. Well, I mean, you should install Nuka World. That DLC comes with so many different masks that you're not even going to know what to do with yourself. I can't really think of a mod that has unique hats. A lot of them are just textures, redone textures of existing hats. Zoltan says, hey, Oxhorn, long-time listener, first time on the live chat. Pleasure to have you on the program. I'm so glad you guys made it. Thank you. Sean _ says, have you ever explained the backstory behind your name, Oxhorn? Yes, but years ago, no one has asked that question for a very long time. So, many of you may not know, but I've been doing this for over 10 years. Back in the day, I made World of Warcraft machinima movies, and my most popular one was called Rafflemouth. But back then, when I was playing World of Warcraft, I had, let's go back even further. The first game I really got into was a game called Dark Age of Camelot, and in that game, I played a furball hero that could transform into a giant stag. He wielded a spear and a shield, and so I named him Staghorn, because he could turn into a stag. Well, then World of Warcraft comes out, and it's revolutionary, and everyone wants to play World of Warcraft, so I start playing World of Warcraft, and the only thing close enough is the Tauren, right? So, the Tauren are kind of like ox creatures, so I named my character Oxhorn instead of Staghorn. So that's really the backstory behind my name. Big Stacks 2 says, ye doth speak truth. Quoting one of my older movies. Poor Mark. Mark was the guy that I had do all of the voice acting for Staghorn. He hated doing that voice. He also did Lacey. He hated doing Lacey. Every single time I would have him over, I had to bribe him with pizza and beer and ice cream. And then I would sit him down in front of my microphone, and he would do all of the voice acting for Staghorn and Lacey, and then I'd reward him by going and getting him some really dark beer and some ice cream and pizza, and that was okay. We were all good after that. But he was actually kind of pissy at me for a while, because he just hated doing the voices. Nathan Grant says, could you do a video on why you think the Brotherhood of Steel is evil? Yeah, I've been meaning to do that for such a long time. It's one of those things where in order to do it right, I would basically have to play the entire game again. Because I got to catch the right footage. Like, there are so many different scenes in the game where Arthur Maxon will say something, or Paladin Dance will say something, and that is a reason for why I think they're evil. But in order to find that moment and capture that footage, I'd have to roll a new character and play the game from the beginning again. So it's one of those things that I'm kind of putting off and putting off and putting off as I'm producing a lot of other content. I'm really working on a lot of Far Harbor content right now. I'm finally going through Far Harbor with my Brotherhood of Steel character. Ox, the guy with the big Gatling laser. And it's a lot of fun. Far Harbor is a breeze with Aternus, the never-ending Gatling laser. That's what I'm doing. I have to start the Far Harbor DLC completely over at the beginning because I'm finding that as I'm going through the main quests, there's this little snippet of dialogue in some lore scene that I would have completely forgotten about, or I wouldn't have known how to find it. And so then I'll just quickly capture that moment so that I can use it in a future video. So it's a lot of work. Julianne Brake says, 3 days ago was my birthday. Can I get a shout out from you, please? Yes. Shout out to you. Oh, birthday girl. Congratulations on having been born. Good on you. Numpty says, so Oxhorn, you made a good and evil ending videos on the Nuka World, but did you regret killing the raiders and missing out on the great perks in the evil feeling? No, because I have an evil character. I have 3 main characters. Well, 4. And each one chose a different ending. So on my Brotherhood of Steel character, he's a Raider King. He chose the evil endings for Nuka World, and so I get to experience all that, but through him. And I actually kind of like it that way because, you know, one of the things that I would have done if I made Fallout 4 is I wouldn't have made it possible for every player to get absolutely everything. I would have made many of the things that you can get in the game dependent upon the choices that you make. For example, perk magazines, perks that you have access to, companion perks. Basically, no matter what choice you make, there is a way. No matter what ending you choose, there's a way to get every magazine, every perk, with the exception of Nuka World. And so I do think that it's important that the choices that you make in a game like Fallout really end up impacting the end result of your gameplay. D-Hider says, do you plan on making any more of those tragic Fallout 4 story vids? Indeed I do. I have a number in mind that I'm working on. Right now, my focus is on Far Harbor. I just finished a tragic storyline video that I published on Monday, but I've got plenty more up my sleeve, so expect more from me in the future. Shaniki the Lost says, ever considered doing a new save where you bypass Preston Garvey, do Nuka World, then come back and let Preston activate open season so you get both the perks and end up finding an alternative to evil and a path to redemption? Yeah, that's basically what I did on my Brotherhood of Steel character, and I recorded that. Then I loaded a previous save and went on with the evil ending. So in that gameplay, he still has not met Preston, but I recorded myself going through those motions so that I could show everybody what happens if you chose to do that. The music is really loud. Savannah Cook says the only thing I hated about Far Harbor was that dreaded fog. It can it can be pretty annoying, but I think it's so atmospheric that even though it's slightly annoying, I still wouldn't remove it. It makes the island feel so much cooler. Can you make a Fallout 4 speed run? Oh no. No, I'm not about speed when I play games. I do things slowly. I chew over things, and I take a long time to make decisions. I don't do speedruns. There are plenty of speedruns for Fallout 4. I think the record holder is 54 minutes, but they use a bunch of in-game exploits, like clipping through the world and teleporting from one moment to another in the major quest to get there. It would still take many hours, even if I skipped absolutely everything to get the main storyline done. Darkly Noon says too few options with Far Harbor, even with the three factions. You know, I don't know if I agree with that. I'm playing through it again, and there are so many different variables. Like, at the very end, you can make between one of three choices in Acadia with Dima. And if you happen to have sided with the Brotherhood of Steel before you go to Far Harbor, there's another ending that you can choose. Or if you chose to side with the Institute before going to Far Harbor, there's another ending you can choose. The only really boring faction ending to Far Harbor is the railroad one. Like, you go discover Acadia, the haven for synths. Then Dima gives you this big lecture about how wiping the minds of synths is evil. So then you go to the railroad headquarters, and they're like, oh, great, you found a synth refuge. We'll send someone that way. They send somebody to the synth refuge, and you meet that person there, and she's like, yeah, I'm just walking around. This is a great place. That's it. That's the entire interaction. I thought that was pretty lazy. I'm sitting there going, man, the Brotherhood of Steel Far Harbor ending is so much more cooler, which I can't talk about because that would be a spoiler. Elizabeth Schoolder says you prefer siding with the Minutemen in both instances. I do. My personal preference is I think the Minutemen are the best faction to side with. Their end game ending is the most satisfying. And they actually give purpose behind future gameplay. Like, one of the things that bothered me about New Vegas and Fallout 3 is once you beat the game, that's it. You can't go back into the world. You have to load a previous game save before you beat the game, before you can keep playing. With Fallout 4, you can beat the game and then go back into the world, but you gotta have purpose to keep playing. And I found purpose to keep playing by trying to fulfill the goals of the Minutemen, which is to re-establish the Commonwealth as a safe haven for humanity to rebuild and live free lives. The only way to do that is to build up the settlements and eradicate the Commonwealth of raiders and other hostile agents. That made continuing gameplay after the end of the game fun for me. Can you set up raider outposts in Far Harbor? Asks Mr. Lasland, and I don't think so, but I could be wrong. When I had the option to choose a settlement on my railroad character, none of the Far Harbor settlements showed up, even though I had discovered them. So I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question. Cerulean Julian says, hey, Oxhorn, who is your favorite companion? It's really tough. I love Nick Valentine. I like all the girls, Kate, Curie, and Piper. I like Deacon. It's great. It's hard for me to choose. I think I feel most sorry for Kate. I feel a lot of empathy for that character. But Curie is just too cute. Will you be doing an Institute playthrough anytime soon? I've already completed my Institute playthrough. I have a character who is now director of the Institute. So I was able to know that entire storyline, and I actually recorded it and published it. This was months ago, long before I started making my Fallout 4 videos. So buried deep within my channel, somewhere is an entire video of the Institute ending, if you're curious. The Fancy Fadger says, for the Oxhorn. By the way, for those who don't know, I did publish my first, Skyrim video today. Yeah, I called it Saving more, what's his name? Malborn. Saving Malborn. It's my first Skyrim video. And it's funny because I'm getting a lot of comments from people saying things like, I can't watch this video because my Skyrim game is so highly modded that I forgot how bad the original Skyrim looked, and so I can't watch your video. And from my perspective, I'm playing Skyrim for the first time, and I'm not using any mods for my first playthrough because I really want to get the feel of it. And so it doesn't feel bad to me. It's kind of, I'm getting more into it. It was a real slow start for me. I have to admit, I was not into the game when I first started, but you get past the whole Greybeard's quest line, and you get Fuz Roda, and things start to get a little bit more fun. So I'm starting to get into it now. Hey, Mr. Ox, what do you think of McCready? It says Vault 13 Victim Twinkies. I'm disappointed in McCready. I like the fact that he's a callback to Fallout 3, but I don't like how his character ended up. He just seems so weak and smarmy. I liked the side quest with McCready. I enjoyed killing the Gunners, and I'm glad that he chose to leave the Gunners. But he's not any fun. Like, he's not fun to hang out with. I like his perk. I made sure to maximize my affinity with him because his perk was great for my character, but he's probably my least favorite of all of the companions in Fallout 4. Akshay G says Vanilla Skyrim was bland. Yeah, you know, I get that. I definitely get that. Like, I'm used to Fallout 4, and the art in Fallout 4 is pretty good, especially when you start adding mods. Why is my Twitch chat filled with deleted comments? Are you guys going on a cussing rant? It's all my regulars. Ghoulbreath and Big Stacks 2 are all getting banned by Nightbot. Calm down, guys. The Band of Edges says, Fuzro Scotch. That is what I shout. That's my dragon shout. Fuzro Scotch. What was I saying? I was on something else. Oh, but anyway, so playing Skyrim for the first time, yeah, the art is kind of bad. And the voice acting is a little eh. And the characters' faces are potatoes. And the interface is clunky. But besides that, it's a lot of fun. Numpty says, hey, Ox, did you ever do the ending where you sided with all the factions and kept them all around? There is no such ending. If you side with the Minutemen, you have to take the Institute out. You can take the Brotherhood out if you want, but you don't have to. If you side with the Brotherhood, you have to take the Institute and the Railroad out. If you side with the Institute, you have to take the Railroad and the Brotherhood out. If you side with the Railroad, you have to take the Institute and the Brotherhood out. So there's no one ending where you can have all three factions alive. The closest is the Minutemen ending, where you can keep the Brotherhood alive, but the Institute has to go. And the reason for that is because there's a moment in the Institute storyline where you show up to a guy's house because there's a scientist in there whom the Institute wants. The scientist doesn't want to go with the Institute, so the scientist calls upon the Minutemen to help. And suddenly you have this moral dilemma. I'm the general of the Minutemen. Do I order my Minutemen soldiers to stand down and let the Institute kidnap this guy? Or do I side with the Minutemen and tell the Institute to go take a hike? If you side with the Minutemen, you become permanent enemies to the Institute, and they're at perpetual war with you. If you side with the Institute, you don't have to kill the Minutemen, but you can no longer do the Minutemen ending. Sean said, I switched and actually bought a PC just because of the mod situation and No Man's Sky. Screw job, which Sony propagated No Man's Sky. Yeah, No Man's Sky was such a huge disappointment. the drama over at the No Man's Sky subreddit is hilarious. I show up on that subreddit just to read the drama, even though I don't play the game anymore. Because, man, people are so angry at that company. That company will never publish another game. Ever. Their brand is completely tarnished. Forever. It's pretty brutal. But, yeah, I'm actually rebuilding my computer. It's a good thing you bring that up. So for those of you who are building computers for the first time, so that you can play Skyrim at high resolution, or so that you can play the Skyrim Remastered or Fallout 4 at the highest settings, fear not, for I am going to be producing a video soon where I go through the best pieces at the most affordable prices to build a top-notch gaming computer that can play any game that came out today. Any game that came out today. At all of the highest resolution settings for under the price of a new console. Under the price of a PS4 or an Xbox One. That video is coming. Working on it. The Movie Making Bro says, what race is your character in Skyrim? Well, his name is Oxnord. That's a hint. Oxnord. I'll let you guess. Arkshay G says, not playing an elf. Ox? Yeah, no, I'm not playing an elf. Not playing an elf. I found this encampment of Nords, and I go and talk to this guy. And he sits there and he literally says, kill all the elves. And I'm sitting there going, you're stealing my line, buddy. So I'm pretty pleased with my choice. So you made an orc, I understand, says Xodian. I didn't, but I would consider it. I'm a little confused. I had this random encounter with an orc in Skyrim yesterday, or the day before, or something like that. And he was trying to sell me some sort of booze, and I was open to the idea, but it wouldn't let me buy it. Instead, the only choices I had were to scold him for trying to do it illegally, or say no. If you scold him for trying to do it illegally, he attacks you and you're forced to kill him. And I didn't want to kill the orc. I think the orc looked kind of cool. Yeah. He was a skooma dealer. Ah, yeah, that's what it was. AKA drugs. Oh, drugs? Skooma is drugs? I thought skooma was like some sort of spicy honey mead. It's drugs? Like Ken's? Skooma. Blake Grabert says, yes, I have finally made it to a stream. Well, sir, I'm just glad that you're here. Thank you so much for coming. Nano Scream says, we'll be getting to Overwatch. Anyway, I hate elves in general. From any fantasy story, elves suck. Except Tannis, half-elf, he was cool. I'll tell you why I hate elves, alright? This is why I hate elves. And part of this is my frustration with the fantasy genre in general. But I was a big Tolkien fan back in the day. Before I ever played a video game, before I ever saw a fantasy movie or cartoon, as a young boy I read through The Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and the Silmarillion. And that was fantasy to me. I thought it was so great. So then I start reading other fantasy books, and I start watching other fantasy movies and getting into other fantasy media, and I'm noticing so many parallels. I'm like, oh, wait, they have Tolkien elves. Oh, they've got Tolkien elves. Everybody has Tolkien elves. Before J.R.R. Tolkien, elves were just these sprightly little fairy creatures that were sometimes mischievous, and they were kind of short and they hid in the bushes, and maybe they had a fairy mound or a ring of fairy circles or whatever. Tolkien is the one who turned them into the tall, slender, pointy-eared, can't be killed, or never-ending, what's the word for that? Immortal, right. Immortal creatures that we all know of today. After Tolkien, everything beyond that is basically copying Tolkien's idea of what elves should be, which I think is just, like, kind of intellectually stealing, right? Instead of reinterpreting the idea of what elves are, like Tolkien did, they're just making their elves exactly like Tolkien elves, without the rich history and the invented languages. Tengwar. So that's my frustration with elves, and that's why I hate elves in most fantasy games, because they just all look like Tolkien elves. The Banty Badger says, Oxhorn, when your character buys a house, you should have him host mead and smoke rings every Thursday. Oh, wouldn't that just be sad? If this show suddenly becomes mead and smoke rings, and I broadcast in the third person from my character in Skyrim, instead of standing before you, the amazing pillar of masculinity that I am. Cheers. Nathan Grant says, I do wish Nuka World let us kill the Minutemen because it doesn't make sense for a raider overboss to keep the biggest threat to their empire. I mean, imagine having the castle under raider control. To be perfectly honest, I completely agree with you. And I'm a Minuteman guy. I love the Minutemen. But for Nuka World to really make sense, there should be an option for you to declare war on the Minutemen, to kill permanently Preston Garvey, to sack the castle, and to just rid all Minutemen that you find throughout the game. That should have been in Nuka World. Now, I do believe that raider settlements get raided by Minutemen. I could be wrong, but I think I've seen a few videos where that's happened. It hasn't happened in any of my games yet, so I'm not sure. But aside from that, there shouldn't be an option where Preston Garvey is still this immortal character that you can never kill, but he constantly attacks you whenever you see him. Lars Johnson says, do you think you're getting tired of Fallout 4 at all right now? No, not at all. I have so much more content that I want to make. Like I said, I'm going through Far Harbor right now. I'm really kind of scrubbing it with a fine-tooth comb. Really, it's going to be up to my audience. If they get tired of Fallout 4, then I'll be forced to do something else. But I still love Fallout 4. I'll tell you what I am thinking. I am considering starting to do videos about Civilization 6. Civ 6 is coming out at the end of this month, and I've been watching the videos on it, and it looks pretty fun. Now, I can't really think about what kind of videos I would make for that game, But I would love to try. So I might check it out. Why did my music stop? There we go. Sneaky the Lost says, then you'd have to have a Nuka World Raider ending, where the Raiders take out everyone else. The Railroad, the Brotherhood, the Minutemen, and the Institute. And all go Mad Max on everyone. That would have made the game a better game. It really would have. Like, that would have made it a much better game. Now, I could see a situation where they wouldn't attack the Institute because the Institute doesn't really care about the Commonwealth. Like, they never come to the defense of settlers. The Brotherhood might feel threatened by raiders and so attack them. The Railroad would definitely get pissed off. But the Institute, they would just stay underground. Problem solved. Never have to see another raider again. The Bancy Fadger says, I feel you would really enjoy Civilization 6. Fans will eat up even just tutorial content. A lot of people care about the personality behind videos, and not just the actual video content. And you're right about that. That's something I've learned even with my current videos. At the very beginning, I was a little worried that my videos wouldn't take off because, you know what? There are other videos out there that are saying a lot of the same stuff that I'm saying. But I have slowly learned that even if somebody else has done it, I can do it in a different way that people might appreciate better. Because they're interested in the personality behind the content, not necessarily the content of the content, if you know what I mean. So I think you're right about that. Hey, we're getting a lot of positive Civilization 6 chatter in the chat. That's great. That makes me feel good. Well, then maybe I'll check it out. It looks like a good game. I hope it doesn't have a steep ramp-up time. Because if I have to spend months playing it before I feel confident enough to produce quality content about it, then it won't be a good fit for me. Because I've got to make new content every day. But if it's something that I can wrap my head around pretty quickly, then who knows? Maybe we'll have some Civilization 6 content. Balthazar21 says, I don't really want to encourage it, but you can kill Mama Murphy. Just give her what she wants. Yeah, I didn't kill her. I didn't know that you could kill her at the time, but at the time I tried to get her off chems. So I got her off chems. My brother, when he played Fallout 4, his mentality was like, hey, you want chems? Yeah, take the chems. So he gives her a bunch of chems and she dies. And then June and Marcy Long actually get more depressed. If you can believe it, as depressed and annoyed and ornery as they are now, if Mama Murphy dies, June just becomes completely depressed. Like, he can't even be moved. And Marcy, she gets on your case. How could you let Mama Murphy die? How could you give her chems? She just flips out. So, I'm pretty glad I did not let Mama Murphy die. Greg Hartung says, I like how the YouTube chat is eating up the Fallout chat, while us ye old Twitch followers are chatting about elves and ghouls' misfortunes. Yes, there are kind of two communities here in the Oxhorn community. Everybody who's been watching Scotch and Smoke Rings for almost over 10 years, and then everybody who's started watching Scotch and Smoke Rings now. But you know what? I love all of ya. All of ya. You're all welcome here. Alright, smoke ship time! So, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the program, I create a smoke ship based upon your suggestions. That's right, like Gandalf, I have been imbued with the ability to create from nothing that which was not there before. And then what we do is, after the program, we all move to Twitch, and we play video games for a bit. Today I'm going to be playing some Overwatch. Overwatch sounds like a nice, light, easy little fun Thursday evening. So, if you want to watch me play some Overwatch, head on over to twitch.tv/Scotch and Smoke Rings because I will be heading there right after this stream ends. Let me type in the address for you. Anyway, so what I need from you is ideas. What are your ideas for smoke ships? First on the list is Black Shawarma. A plastic tray serving as a raft with a McDonald's value meal of double quarter pounders, jumbo fries, and apple pie, the beverage being a chilled 2006 Ravenswood Zinfandel with a rich spiced bite. Black Shawarma. Every time. Nathan Grant says, hey, Oxhorn, last question. Where would you like the next Fallout game to be set? Seattle. Seriously. This is where I live. If they could set the next one in Seattle, I would be so happy. Oh, man, I would make so much content. And then I'd go to the real places because I live here. And I'd film the real place. And then I'd bring it into the Fallout world. If they could do it in Seattle, I would be so happy. That would be so cool. A Civilization 6 galleon, says Sean. All right, all right. Boat and boat rings. Shiniki the Lost says, an army of Minutemen marching in lockstep, fife and drums playing, banners waving while they shout out their new war cry for the Minutemen, Fuzro Scotch. It works. Indy Skywalker says, I just made a bar in Sanctuary and called it Scotch and Smoke Rings and made a settler to look just like you. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. The Bantam Badger says, as someone who lives in Boston, it's a bit surreal to see the Fallout world spin of it. Yeah, I bet it would be. Goldbreath says, a mighty bacon-clad and ironclad, but made of bacon, sailing ship. Okay, so a mighty bacon-clad ship, which is an ironclad ship, but wrapped in bacon, sailing along the ocean blues, as steampunk Cloron Hastings eyes the horizon through his spyglass. He'd reach the shores of the Commonwealth eventually. One day. Here's another link to Twitch. That's where we are going to after this stream ends. Man, so many good choices today. Which one should I do? There's the double quarter pounder. All right, I think I got it. Thought I heard something. All right, so today's smoke ship will be Ghoulbreath. Ghoulbreath, the mighty bacon clad. You had me at bacon clad. All right, here we go. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke ship will exist for only the briefest of moments. Did you see it? For the briefest of moments before your very eyes was a bacon clad, which is an ironclad, but clad further in bacon, sailing along the ocean blues as steampunk Cloron Hastings eyes the horizon through his spyglass. He'd reach the shores of the Commonwealth eventually. One day. The Banty Fadger says, I saw it. It was crispy, delicious, and smoky. Just like a good smoke ship or a piece of bacon should be. Jared W. says, are you a wizard? I might be. I might be. John Murdoch says, that was so cool. Well, what can I say? You know, I'm imbued with this talent. I wish I could share it. This is my way to share it. Not everyone has the power. What can I say? Born with it. Just born this way. That's right, I'm the next Lady Gaga. All right. I got to end this program. I'm getting weird. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this week's episode of Scotch and Smoke Rings, episode 375. But never fear, ladies and gentlemen, the show is not ending. We're all going to Twitch, where we're going to be streaming some Overwatch. So if you just want to watch, or if you'd like to participate, feel free to head on over, because that is where we are going next for the next hour or so. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, here's the link to my Twitch so that you can join me. And be sure that each and every one of you stays classy. Oh man, I wanted to do one smoke ring before I ended. There we go. Thanks, chaps.